已经呢就是说学习了几年，所以呢我们一般都是请这种就是说比较在大学有学习经验的这些学生呢来给大家进行分享。这个呢是在那个 YouTube 上直播，在那个国内的小鹅通上也是直播的，
他呢
所以呢
应该在
这个商学院呢已经呢就是说参会者呢这个没关系，因为他这个会在这些直播的平台上大家都可以放映，所以呢大家都可以再继续收听。然后呢这个孔德正这个孩子呢，我应该认识他是在很小的时候，大概他在10岁左右，所以也认识将近10年的时间。他呢虽然是在 UBC， 但是呢因为他家就住在温哥华，所以我觉得呢我们因为邀请的每个学生大家都知道呢，前几期呢从一开始我们邀请的是美国的就是加拿大美国的考进美国学校的，还有呢就是说从中国考到美国的，我们也做了2期，就是说相当于留学生，因为我们想针对不同的群体，就是除了加拿大的学生、本土的学生，还有呢留学生，另外呢还有就是说在不同地方，比方说我以前讲过多大的，对吧？讲过滑铁卢的，讲过那个就是 Queen 的，就是皇后大学的，还有麦马的。那么呢，就是这都是大部分都是东部地区的，但是呢，我们最后2期呢，请到的是 UBC， 就是在温哥华最有名的这个，就是在碧溪省最有名的学府。那上一期呢，我们刚刚分享了，就是说 Jason 曹他是关于那个计算机工程的，因为我觉得在不同的大学呢，它可能有不同的，就是说这个商学院或者工程学院，它有不同的东西，值得我们大家去了解。那么今天呢，孔德正同学就在这儿呢，跟我们介绍呢，在 UBC 就是这个哥伦比亚大学呢，他的就是商学院的一些情况。另外呢，他的情况他由他自己现在来介绍用英文，因为我给大家简单用中文讲了一下。好，那么下面我把这个话语权呢交给孔德正同学，好吧？谢谢大家。
Okay. Oh, thanks everyone. So hello everyone, my name's Kong De-Zheng, and I'm currently in 3rd year of UBC Solder, and in the winter I'll be going into 4th year. So a little bit about myself. So I, similar to maybe some of the previous guests that you've listened to, was playing chess when I was younger and won some national chess championships, and that's where I met your host as well. And today we're gonna talk about the theme of how to get into UBC, not just UBC Solder, but also many other faculties such as arts and computer science or maybe engineering, because I think it follows a similar structure and theme. So first, getting into UBC, I think it's a 2-pronged attack, right? So I think the first one is obviously grades, GPA, and then the second one is extracurriculars. So this leads to my topic of how do you improve your high school GPA. So in high school, I think the best way to improve your grades is preparation. I think preparation is the biggest important thing. And what I mean by that is before you take on a course, you kind of have to know about the course already. So kind of preview the course maybe in the summer and before you go into school next year. And also during school, make sure you stay a little bit later after school to maybe ask your teachers about some questions on things you don't understand. And with these 2 things, you'll be way ahead of other people when you're taking the exams, because a lot of people in my classes, when they were taking the class, like there was this one guy, he was sitting beside me, and before the exam, he would ask me, what chapter are we going to be tested on? And this was the 15 minutes before the exam. So that shows how unprepared he was. But then, of course, he didn't really get a good grade. So, and he didn't really get into a good, higher ranked university. So I think the takeaway here is to be really well prepared, and also, develop good relationships with your teachers and make sure to ask a lot of questions. So the second thing I want to talk about is extracurriculars and school. So before I mentioned how chess really helped me with extracurriculars. Like in high school, I did chess club, which had at peak, there were around 70 members. And 70 members, not just signups, but actually in the room. So basically, it was probably the biggest club at the school. So it was really popular. And I think doing extracurriculars is not just for your resume for getting to university, but I think it's also a good thing to talk with your peers and also make a lot of friends, because like these friendships in high school, I think are very strong. And in university, you still make a lot of friends, but then it's in university, because lectures and different classes last a shorter time compared to high school, the friendships are not as strong as in high school. So I think definitely use the extracurricular opportunity to, okay, maybe help with some leadership skills, try to start your own club, or if you're joining some club, be a part of the leadership position. I think that's a lot of what UBC Sauder is looking for, is that teamwork and leadership. So extracurriculars kind of shows both, right? Because with members of 70 people, I have to organize events and try to take on the leadership initiative, but also with like knowing a lot of people as well. Yeah. So another thing I did in high school was debate club. So back in grade 9, I started debate club. I was really bad at public speaking. I don't know about now. Maybe I got better, but I was really bad. And then I just couldn't speak in front of a crowd. And I really wanted to challenge myself and try to improve my public speaking skills. And I joined. And throughout the years, I became the president later on when I was in grade 11, so 2 years later. So I think that's something to look into as well if you're just starting out high school, because maybe there's something you really want to improve in high school, like a skill. The skill I wanted to improve was public speaking, because I was really bad. And in UBC Sauder, public speaking is very important, because a lot of the classes have presentations, and the stuff you learn from high school is directly going to be used in university. And in university, they don't give you a lot of time to develop those skills. So I think that's another way to tackle extracurriculars in high school. So something you're good at, maybe take on a leadership position and show the universities that you're able to lead and also do well in teamwork. And then if you have time, maybe have another extracurricular activity on something you're really weak at, so you can take the time in high school to improve. And then by the time you're in university, you're more well-rounded. And then the final thing I want to talk about is kind of related to my debate club experience, is how maybe ESL students, maybe Mandarin speaking students, how they improve their English skills. Because I think that's a big thing for immigrants coming to Canada, including myself, because a lot of people, they come to my high school in grade 9, grade 8. Oh, there was one guy, so he came to Canada pretty early. I think he was here at elementary school, but then in high school, he asked me how to spell some basic stuff, like how to spell hospital. But he was already here for like 4 years. So I was in shock, because I didn't really think like his English would be that terrible. But I think that's okay, because I kind of helped him get better at English, and in return, he himself was able to do very well academically as well. I think the main thing here is to try to engage in speaking activities. So like debate club is a good example. Just talk for 3 minutes in front of everyone, like talk about a random topic. Also join some extracurricular activity and just try to talk. Because I think a good example I had in high school was this one friend. He was in I think he came to Vancouver in grade 10, so his English was like really bad, and he had a really heavy accent, but that didn't deter him from speaking in front of the whole school. So he was basically speaking in front of 1,500 people every day in the announcements. And through challenging himself, he became better. So I think that is what you need to learn. So maybe the preparation you can do after school, but in school, you gotta take the opportunity to talk to people instead of just talking in Mandarin within your own circle, because that's detrimental to your English speaking activities. So yeah, so that's going to be my topic. And now I'm going to answer some of the Q&A that was prepared by the host. So the first question is, if you have 3 words to describe solder, what would it be? So I think like the 3 words I'm going to describe it is going to be comparative to other faculties. So the first word is rich, right? So it's kind of funny because solder has a lot of rich alumni compared to other UBC faculties because they went to business school, right? So they got into business career. They became an entrepreneur, for example. And they donated a lot of stuff to the school. So they donated rooms, they donated tables, like technology, anything. So compared to other faculties, their alumni maybe didn't really donate anything. And also, I think UBC Solder is pretty competitive when it comes to accepting applicants. So maybe I think there are less students than other faculties. So we have a lot of common space to do homework, like library, or we have 2 libraries, and also like a lot of tables around to study. Compared to other faculties, so I went to the arts building in UBC, and they only have 2 tables, and they don't really have a lot of study space. And then the main UBC library is always filled, so there is no private space for you to study. But in Solder, there's some private space for you to study because of the donations coming from the alumni. Yeah. So that's one word. I think the second word is I think the opportunities that you get from Solder, because I think this transitions kind of to second question, which is why you chose UBC Solder, because I think it's a bit better than, like, it's like a more better version of arts a little bit, because a lot of people in UBC arts, they really want to transfer to Solder, and a lot of the more competitive faculties in arts, such as economics, is really related to what Solder is teaching. So I guess it's kind of like arts, but you get more job opportunities when you're in the future. And I think the third word is just the connections that comes with Solder, because these alumni donors, right? They also like to talk with you, talk with the students at events. So I'm doing this club at Solder that focuses on talking to some startups and also talking to some venture capital people. And through this club, you get to meet a lot of these alumni, right, who are established entrepreneurs in Canada. And I think through meeting them and through learning from them, it's really important opportunities that you don't get anywhere else. Certainly not in some faculties, because then with these alumni, it's very easy to get a job later on. And also a lot of resources in Solder as well, such as the Career Center, where they help you with finding jobs. And also they have workshops to teach you skills such as Excel, like Bloomberg, writing coach. It's free, so it's covered in the tuition. So they have databases, so that's some of the benefits of Solder. So I kind of covered question 1 and 2 with the answer there. So moving on to question 3, which is what type of personality is fit for UBC solder. So I think not just solder, but UBC in general, it favors extroverts more than introverts, because with university, it's bigger classes than high school, because high school is only 30 people classes max. But then with solder or with other UBC classes, it's 50 people to maybe 150, 200 people. And how does the prof know who you are, right? Because if you don't speak out, if you don't participate in the discussions, if you don't go ask them questions after classes, similar to high school, but then you have to take the initiative to do those things. And I think that is why when you apply for UBC solder or like any UBC faculties, they kind of look for those leadership skills, because it really helps once you get into UBC, because with the initiative, your grades get better because you take the time to learn more, right? And so those are the two personalities I would say. So the first thing is extroverts are better than introverts at university. But if you're an introvert, don't worry. Just try to talk more. Like, you don't just pretend, and maybe with experience, you get better, right? And the second thing is leadership skills, definitely, because of the teamwork, and also gotta take a bit of more time to talk to the professors. So number 4 question is, what is my specialty in high school, right? My specialty class, I guess. So I would say social studies was my specialty, because I had a really nice teacher in high school that stayed after school to help me with my essays. And in the end, in BC, there are these provincial exams. I don't think there are provincial exams now. I think the government canceled it, but back then there were provincial exams, and I got 95 in the provincial exam because I was constantly being helped, and I didn't even study for the exam, because like I was getting so much help from the teacher. So I would say that was my specialty in high school. That doesn't mean that I wasn't getting good marks in other classes as well, but I think social studies is my best. Yeah. So number 5 question is, what is my biggest challenge when applying for UBC? So I think the biggest challenge is definitely the process, right? So it kind of links to question 6, which is there an interview with the application process, and how do you prepare for the interviews? So to answer that, there's definitely an interview, and there is also the personal profile as well. So the essay you need to write on like basically like questions on why you choose solder, like describe yourself, that kind of stuff. So I think the whole process, the interview, the writing is definitely really challenging at the time. And I started very early to prepare those things. And I for the interview, I prepared with a lot of my friends who did a lot of mock interviews with me on how to answer the solder students, and like the interview, right? How to do well in the interview. And in the end, I think I was able to do very well because of the preparation. I think that links back to the start, where I said preparation is very important for high school as well, because just start early is it's always a good thing. So that's 5 and 6, and 7. So how is university life in UBC? So I think, I mean, it's kind of different now because of COVID and the current situation, social distancing, right? You can't really go on campuses anymore. It's all online learning. So I think it's kind of, I don't know, I'll just talk a bit about my UBC experience, but it's kind of not relatable to the current situation, because right now it's just learning from online, and the courses are all online. So just open up your computer and basically listen to what the professor is saying and do exams and stuff. But then back at when I was in first and second year, I started this club which focuses on venture capital and entrepreneurship. So we hosted a lot of events, and we also connected with a lot of the established entrepreneurs and venture capital people in Vancouver. So that was very, very, very nice. And also I talked with a lot of people at university, which is good because these friendships are very very important to motivate you for studying, right? So I think something to relate back to the current situation is, even if you're not seeing your peers in real life, I think you should still try to meet as many people as possible, because it's really an opportunity, and a lot of the peers you meet are actually very they're super intelligent and super interesting, their opinions. And I think it's a waste if you just focus on just studies. I think the social aspect is very important as well, and don't let the computers deter you from that advantage. Okay, moving on to question 8, which is in high school, what extracurriculars that I do is it relatable to solder? So I kind of talked about my extracurriculars in the beginning. So basically I did chess club and I did debate club. And they're not really related to solder because they're just my interests, right? And I think going into solder, you don't really need to do anything that's related to like business directly, as long as you show the things I talked about, which is leadership skills, teamwork, and also it shows that you're interested in what you're doing. Like I'm interested in the chess and debate, public speaking, right? So I think if you fit those 3 criteria, then it's very good, because I talked to some other people in first year as well, like how did they get into solder, and some of them, they said they did Model United Nations, so that's not really related to business, but then they hosted events, right? So that showed like leadership and teamwork, and also some of them did like charity stuff, so it doesn't really have to be with business related. Yeah. Okay, so on to question 9. So compared to other faculties, what is the advantage of solder? So I kind of touched upon this in the beginning as well. Solder is kind of like a more advantageous art program, but I think compared to like engineering and computer science, there is actually this program. So this relates to back to question number 13, which is solder more suitable for people who are good at humanities or people who are good at like STEM, right? So I think for both, right? For both, it depends on how you want to take your solder career. Because, for example, if you're really good at like STEM, then you can take this program called Business and Computer Science, so BUCS in solder, and this is, I think, one of the really special programs that's not really offered anywhere in Canada. So business and computer science program. And with this program, you get to choose to take business courses, and also you get to be computer science faculty. And when you do co-op, you can choose from both computer science co-op and business co-op. And I think that is where you want to go if you're really good at math or sciences. So I think solder is really good for you for that. I think another program with solder that is good is there is the Portfolio Management Foundation. So that one is where you manage some portfolio. It's related to finance. So that one, I think is good for both writing, because you need to write reports, right? And also calculation, like math. Okay, so that kind of answers 9 and 13. So on to number 10. So does solder, does business specialty need more MBA. I'm not sure what this question is about, because solder is basically kind of like an MBA, but like with MBA, I guess it's more expensive and you get to meet more people. I guess that's the advantage. But the materials you learn from solder is already kind of like an MBA program. So I guess that's the answer I can give. Okay, number 11. So what are some jobs you can apply with solder? So I think for this one, you can apply to like a lot of different different fields of jobs. So you can apply for finance, accounting, like marketing, like operations. There's a lot, and also with the specialties you choose doesn't really matter with what you apply, because on the graduation transcript it doesn't say what you specialize. It just says you graduated from solder. So I think I know this girl in marketing. She worked at investment banking in National Bank. So it kind of depends on like where you want to go. It's not limited to what your concentration is. Okay, so number 12 is how like what is the schedule like for solder? So I think the schedule is you make your own schedule, right? So I recommend, if you for any university course, not just solder, that you align the courses in two ways. So either you align it by timing. So, but then it's online classes, so I don't know. But then like don't choose maybe early morning classes, late night classes, just stick it in the middle. So that's one way of aligning classes. Another way is you pick your classes based on professors. So that I think you have to ask your, depends on the certain universities you're in, right? That which courses give you like higher GPA. Like, okay. So on to number 14. So if in first year or second year, you want to switch to other specialties, can you switch? What do you need to do? So I think with solder, you choose your specialty in third year. With sciences is, I think in second year, you decide on your specialty. So yeah, so definitely with number, with first year or second year, you just need to think about what specialty you want to do. But then, as I said, your specialization doesn't really matter, because the marketing girl went to investment banking. So it depends on you, right? Like what you want to do. It's the specialization, maybe it's just your interest, and you can switch at all times. I'm pretty sure. Like you can even switch at third year to, like, if you're in marketing, you want to switch to operations, you can do that. You just need to, because I think the core courses with each specialization is like very little. So you have to take maybe 7 electives and 3 core courses. So you're not that much behind compared to other specializations. So that's why like all the graduates of solder is kind of the same. Like they don't really write, oh, solder with finance, solder with accounting. They just write solder. You graduated. Okay. Okay, so number 15 is so from Canadian business schools to American business schools, what are some differences? I can't really speak on this because I don't really know much about American business schools, but I think if you're Canadian, I guess, then I guess Canadian schools are cheaper than American business schools, and I think the tuition is the biggest difference here. And other than that, I'm pretty sure solder models itself to some of the American business schools, because I remember I heard the prof saying we're kind of similar to the business schools that are related with the East Coast, right? Like, so I'm pretty sure they teach the similar stuff, but maybe a bit of a twist with each specialization. Maybe it's maybe this school offers finance with behavioral finance or something. I don't know, but then they don't offer it in UBC. So it's still finance, but it's with a twist, right? It's the special course of that school. So okay, so I just got a message from the chat. Question 12, can you give a more specific year 1 to 3 in university every semester, how many courses you need to take? Okay, so in question 12, basically the courses, I tried to take 10 courses per semester. So 10 courses, 30 credits. So that, I think that is also what you need for graduation. But with that being said, you can adjust based on your personal level. I think if you want a more balanced school life, like if you don't want to do anything in the summer, like if you're free in the summer, then I recommend you take maybe 6 to 8 courses in the winter. So maybe 3 to 4 courses in the semester, and then in the summer take maybe 2 to 3 courses to make up for the difference, because that way you get more time to focus on your courses. You don't really get too much pressure from taking 10 courses, and then maybe your grades will be better as well. Maybe, but then I also know some people who take like 2 courses and they do really bad because it's too little and they don't really spend time studying, and then they slack off and then they do poorly. So it all depends on you, but then 10 courses is the standard. But then compare that with engineering. The engineering is probably more like academically heavy than solder. So engineering, sometimes they take like 12 to 13 courses per term, I've heard. So no, per like year. So that's like 6 or 7 courses per term compared to 5 in solder. So maybe like even if you take 10 and your like engineering level of studying, then it's actually a light course load because you only take 10, but the engineers take 12. So you're actually like better. But that's basically my answer. Yeah. Okay, let's read the chat. Okay, how many internships apply in BC Business School? Do you get any intern experience? Okay, so this is going back to co-op. So with co-op, I think is you apply in second year, and you either get a co-op you can apply in second year or third year, and then you get the co-op the following semester. So you do 2 terms of co-op. And with co-op is basically solder gives you a list of the jobs you can apply to that's related with solder, and out of those jobs you apply. They advise you to apply to like 10 jobs per week or something to make sure you're on track of getting a job. And then once you get the job, you do it for 1 semester, and then you get a return offer, and then you do the whole year, or you do 1 co-op and then you do another co-op. So that is with the co-op program with the university. But obviously you have to pay a fee for the co-op, and the co-op is not really paid that well. I don't think it's paid well, but or you can just find your own job based on the connections you meet at solder. It really depends on how hard you put in the effort. Maybe you meet someone and then they give you a job, and then a lot of people have that as well. So that is the co-op internship experience. Okay, another chat is, what is what was your biggest challenge in your first year in UBC and how did you overcome it? Okay, so I think my biggest challenge in UBC was first year. Okay, so going into university, I was definitely very scared. I was kind of intimidated by uni because it's different, right? It's different from high school, and with solder, with like competitive grades, I guess, like when you're applying, I was kind of intimidated by like how smart everyone else is, right? Maybe they're like really smart. Like how can I even follow with the courses, right? Can I even know what the professor is talking about? But I don't think, okay, if you're going to university, don't have the mindset I had. That's a really bad mindset because it's basically like similar to high school, like similar stuff I mentioned, like talking to the professors, like making sure you're well prepared, like that's the same stuff. It's the same stuff. And the only difference is that the professor will not be focused on you because he has like 200 students and sometimes he doesn't even know your name. Some of my friends doesn't even know their name. So it's like who is lecturing, who is like who is listening? They don't know. Nobody knows. But up to you to go ask them questions and go up to you to develop a meaningful relationship with them. I think that is very important in first year. And I kind of tried to do that more in second term. And I think that was kind of late because in first term, I could have done that more and then it could have helped me better. So I think just adapting to the university like tempo is very important, the rhythm. But then, as I said, it's just similar to high school. Nothing's changed. So yeah, okay. Okay, another question. Social event often happen in solder. How many percentage students got intern co-op or business referral job during university time? Okay, so let's answer the first question. So social events often happen in solder, yes, because solder has a lot of international students and then they pay a lot of tuition. So basically the school kind of gives back that money a little bit by hosting some some events to help students get to know each other and then also like get to meet some alumni as well. So yes, social events often happen, but it's up to you to go to the social events. Nobody is going to force you to go to anything. Like just go to the ones you feel like is important. And outside of solder, obviously there are other clubs. I call them social clubs. So maybe there are some clubs that's like, I don't know, like related to a certain culture, right? Certain culture club, or it's a certain skill. So those clubs are more like UBC based, and solder has its own clubs that are more business related. Okay, and how many percentage of students? Okay, so the co-op question. So I think if you apply to co-op, you need an average of 73, I think, to get into co-op, or 72, but it's not really competitive. Like I think the average not very high, and if you go, if you apply, it's basically they look more at your maybe the same things that got you into solder, like the leadership skills, the teamwork, blah blah. So those things are really important as well for co-op and the grade. But usually people get in. So co-op is not hard, but after you get into co-op is the hard part because you have to apply to 10 jobs per week to get to meet that quota, right? And a lot of people, one of my friends, he's in Bucks and he didn't really apply to any job. So he didn't even get a co-op. So nobody is gonna find a co-op for you. You need to apply yourself. So that I think is the challenging part. It's not really challenging to get into the program, but it's challenging to apply. And okay, so another question. Solder acceptance rate in website is 6%. UBC acceptance rate is 52%. Is it true? I think solder acceptance rate, I don't know about like how, I didn't really check the statistics, but it's pretty competitive because some of my friends, they didn't really get in when they were applying with me in high school. And so they went to other schools. But then UBC acceptance rate is 52%, maybe because with arts program, it's definitely the GPA, you don't have to be that high to get into arts. But maybe that is why it's 52%. I'm not sure though. Maybe acceptance rates are higher now because it's online classes. I'm not sure. Okay, essays. Yeah, so you need to write essays. As I mentioned, you need to write the application personal profile, right? You need to write like why do you want to apply to Starter? Like how do you describe yourself? Like all this kind of questions. And then for those, I think preparation is very important. Start early, get help, and make sure a lot of people read it through yeah. Okay, so you do need to write that. That's the answer. Okay, so another question, how many clubs have you joined so far? So right now, so in first year, I was in 2 clubs, right? I was in the Biz China club and then also the venture capital club. But then right now I'm just in the venture capital club. I dropped Biz China, but I think like some of the clubs you don't really need to like join, like become a member, I guess, because some of the club, like those cultural clubs, they just have events and then you can just go to like one event. Maybe their one event is really nice and then you just join. And the clubs are just there to meet people, I think. Like that's the important stuff. Like yeah, okay. So I guess that's all the questions. Please feel free to ask me more questions. Okay. How the acceptance interview, what question you had when you apply? Okay, so I think I had the question, it's pretty long ago, but give me a sec. I think. Oh, okay. I remember one of the questions is really standard. So it's like, how do you describe yourself? Like personal strength, personal weakness. So that kind of question. And then the second question is, I think, something like, how do your extracurriculars help you? But I think for the interview questions, I think a tip that I can give you is you have a certain like facts you prepare, and then when they ask you a question, you just try to use those facts in the question. So for example, they ask you about tell me about a situation where you failed and how did you overcome that, and just remember some facts and then use those facts in the interview. Like maybe they don't question it the same way, maybe they ask a different question, but then you still use the same facts. Okay. Okay. Another question is, the interview is key to accept or GPA, personal essay rate more? I think GPA is number 1. So GPA number 1, but that depends on every year. So every year it changes because it depends on who is applying. But it's usually around 93, I think. But like 93 is for sure you get it, I think. Like if you have other things like just average, if you have like 93, 94, you can get in for sure. But then maybe if you're weaker, then you use the extra. I know people who are like 89, 90 that have really strong extracurriculars, and they got in as well. But I think the more, like, to be safe, just get higher GPA, and then the extracurriculars are like second important. Okay, another question is, I heard Bucks, you don't have many electives. Okay, so personally, I'm not in Bucks, but I know a lot of people in Bucks. That's why I can talk about Bucks. So Bucks, it's true that you don't have electives. So usually in solder, you get to choose your specialization. So you like marketing, like accounting, finance, operations, etc. But Bucks is basically that is your specialization. So you graduate with just business, like no specialty, and computer science. So that's business and computer science. That's you don't get a lot of electives, but I think it's worth because that program is very competitive and tech is like a huge thing right now. So definitely, if you can get into Bucks, definitely get into Bucks. Like try don't worry about the other stuff, other like electives. Like it's not really important. So another question, do you think Bucks is more computer science or business field jobs? So as I said before, Bucks with you have the advantage of applying to science co-op and commerce co-op. So I think that is very important because with just solder, you only get to apply to solder co-ops. So that is very limited. But with computer science, you basically get 2 options. I don't think anybody in UBC has that advantage. So definitely Bucks is very, very good. Okay, solder has many major or minor. What you choose for your future job, any business projects? So I think solder has maybe like 7 like specializations, like finance, accounting, marketing, operations, like HR. I can't really list them all, but they have a lot. But I don't think that's very important because it's up to you to find your future jobs. So what you choose for your future job, I'm still thinking, so can't answer that. Any business project are you on now? So not really on any business projects, but I do have a personal project where I think all of you should go subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's Casually Chess. I just started this summer. So because I play chess and I have this YouTube channel, so I just started. So it doesn't have many subscribers, but if you can maybe message me later on, like please subscribe to that channel. Okay. Another question. For Bucks, you only graduate with a Bachelor of Commerce. How do you showcase your computer science knowledge? How much computer science do you learn in Bucks versus computer science majors? Okay, so I think you definitely showcase your computer science knowledge because I know people from Bucks who get into software developer jobs in those big name companies like Microsoft, Amazon. But I think it's up to you, right? Any of these programs is just to make you look better on your resume, but maybe the guy in Bucks, he was already coding when he was in high school, or he was coding when he was in the summer, where everybody else was just watching YouTube videos. So they took the extra time to code. So I think that is what you need to do, like not just the specialization, but also you need to do a little bit extra work to make sure you're more competitive compared to your peers. And yeah, so that's all the questions. Feel free to ask me more questions. Okay, another question. Do you think after solder, better go to graduate school or go to work directly? I think that is up to you as well, because if you're really good at solder, like if you're top, then I recommend you go to work right away, because if you're really good, then solder has very good connections that get you to very good jobs. But if you're like not like average, I guess, then maybe graduate school is okay, because maybe graduate school you get better opportunities, but I'm not even too sure right now. So I think to answer that, if you're really good at school, like top of solder, then definitely go to work. That's my suggestion. And okay, another question. What's the best advice you'd give for getting accepted into solder? Okay, so I think the best advice, I already mentioned this, but I'll mention it again. I think repetition is key to learning, right? It's this, so basically, good grades, and good grades, you start early on, like preparation early on. I think university did look at your higher level grades, like grade 11, grade 12, right? Like grade 10 maybe, I forgot, but grade 11 and 12 for sure. But like start really early, like grade 8, grade 9, just know what courses you're gonna take and just study those courses ahead. And once you're in the course, you're basically retaking it, and you get good grades. And another thing is extracurriculars. 2 extracurriculars I did. Chess club is what I was really good at, and it showed leadership skills and teamwork. So that is very good for your personal profile. Another thing is what you want to improve on. Extracurriculars, maybe like public speaking was my weakness, so I tried to improve on that. But maybe you want to improve on your athletic skills. Maybe join a sport club, something like that. Because maybe sports is looked good upon in universities as well. I don't know. Okay, you have to apply through solder to get into Bucks, right? Not really. You can apply right away, or you can apply in the middle. That depends on you. What courses did you take, and what marks did you receive? I'm gonna not answer that question because it depends on person to person, right? But if you follow what I'm telling you right now, I guarantee you're gonna have a very good time in UBC if you just be consistent and follow what I'm saying. Because yeah, like I'm already almost finishing up, solder, and you're just starting. So it's 2 years of experience right here. Okay, another question is, in university, except study, any other things student could do? Attend clubs or art, music, sport team? Okay, so I've said this before as well, but I'll repeat it again because so like you could attend clubs, right? Like the business-based clubs in solder, or like those cultural clubs, or those special like skills clubs. In UBC, there's a lot of clubs. That definitely is an option. And art, music, sports team. Well, I don't think sports are happening right now, right? Like because social distancing, right? Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think a lot of sports are happening. But definitely sports team. There's competitive, I think, and also just for fun. And art, music, definitely there are those clubs as well, but I haven't been to those events, so I can't really talk about it. Okay, any other questions? Feel free to ask me. Okay, I have another question. So there is a difference between international student or Canadian student accept. So I think it's actually harder for Canadian students to get into solder because they like to have a lot of international students in solder. So I think that's the, but then again, if you follow what I'm telling you, like get the grade, like get like around 93, like do the extracurriculars, then you're gonna do very well. You're gonna get in for sure. So just prepare very early. Yeah. Another question I have: what do you like the best in UBC? Well, I mean, okay. So I think before everybody's doing online classes, I really like the atmosphere, right? The students are very they have very interesting stories. That's why I'm telling you guys, like once you get in, it's very important you talk to a lot of people, because not just in solder but in other faculties as well, because you get to learn a lot of stuff outside of classes as well. I think that is the thing I like about UBC is the experience, I guess. The friends and the things I mentioned in the introduction are also many of the good things, but they're not the best thing I like in UBC. Okay. Another question. What are the biggest challenges in high school and what are in university? So I think the biggest challenge in high school is to be consistent. I think, and the same thing in university as well, because I'm telling you, like to do this, right? Maybe you can do it for 2 days, 3 days, but then there are obviously going to be some challenges and some issues that happen, and you get discouraged. And I think it's important to maybe you want to like try to solve the problem, or maybe like rest a bit and then solve the problem. But in the end, you want to continuously go the path of trying to get into solder, or continuously follow the path of like doing well in university. Like that is not just like 1 day, 2 days, but it's like every day, right? So I think that is the biggest challenge. I think for everyone, it's just to be consistent. Like don't get discouraged. I think that's very hard, and I'm even I obviously I need to work on that as well, and hopefully by telling you guys that, you guys can get more consistent and be better, you know, be better than who you were yesterday. Okay. Any other questions?
Okay, they ask you about what your time management in high school and university.
Oh, okay. So I think in regards to time management, I think like obviously you don't want to. I think I want to talk about another friend rather than myself, because I think he is better at time management. I think it's time management. A lot of people don't do it well because it's not really fun, right? Because who wants to study when you can watch meme videos on YouTube, when you can play video games, blah blah blah. But I think you have to have rewards for yourself to make it fun. So for example, you study, boom, highest mark in the class. That is what drives you to be better at time management, because like in the start it's very hard. It's like I don't want to do it, but then just follow through. Like it gets easier over time, because once you try really hard, obviously there's going to be results, right? And then those results are going to push you to be better. It's like what is that thing called? It's like self-manifest. I forgot the term, but basically you use those rewards to help you do better, and then you're gonna be like, oh, I really like studying because I'm always getting really top grades. I'm always getting like I'm really doing really well. I think you transition the fun from YouTube or like those video games into studying. I think that is the key to time management. It's not really like you spend the time to do like something you don't like. Make sure you really like to study. And once you like to study, maybe you don't need to spend that much time because you absorb more material in an hour. Maybe other people absorb it in like 3 hours because they spend 2 hours and 30 minutes not thinking about the material. You know, it's all about efficiency and like the mindset, having fun, you know. Okay, I have a lot more questions. Let's see where. Okay. So how do you stay organized, and tips for note taking? Oh yeah, going back to the previous answer. So because the guy I learned this from, so he's like top of UBC engineering basically. So he's a year younger than me, And engineering, being top at engineering is very hard, but he's always doing well because he's always getting good grades, right? So he's always has that rush, that feeling, and yeah. So that is the trick to time management. How do you stay organized? Tips for note taking. Okay, so I think right now with online classes, it's actually very easy for note taking because you basically get the notes from the professors, right? So you don't really need to take any notes. But I guess for me, the best thing is take note with your computer instead of taking it by hand. I know in school they ask you to take it by hand, but I just think computer is it's just more organized. And you don't need to organize the notes when you come back. You just maybe make sure you get a tablet, right? Get those touch screens so you can write on the screen, so you can make changes. And I feel like generally people who do that have a better grade than people who write on paper or just use the computer. Like have those take notes on like a tablet or something. How do you become a good note-taking student? Okay, so that's the same question. I'm going to skip that. What do you suggest university student? How many times on academic study? How many times on activities? How many times on video game? Okay, so this goes back to my main point is you want to make sure that you make academic study fun, right? Like you make sure that when you spend time on it, you get rewarded. Like whether it's you learn something or whether it's you get a really good mark. But I think that is the motivation that you need to do. It's not about the time, because sometimes you spend like 5 hours, but then you only get focused like half an hour. Like that's not like that. Who cares? But then when you're like playing video game, the incentive of playing video game is because it's easy. It's easy to video games are easy to succeed, and academic study are hard to success. So I think make sure you at first spend a lot of time on academic study, but once you get the hang of it, like you know yourself kind of like how you study, then maybe you can spend less time. So I guess that's my my take on that. Would you recommend getting an iPad? Okay, so a lot of people they use OneNote to take their notes. So tablet, it doesn't have to be an iPad. I think just like something touch screen. Use OneNote. You can write, and also you can write with a pen, write with like those digital pens. Okay. And do you have any apps for school? Well, I mean, when I was taking first year calculus, I used Desmos, but that's it. I don't use Desmos anymore. So that is, but the apps, I think like you'll know once you're taking the courses, like people like will recommend you, like professors. Okay, so that is all the questions. Any more questions?
Okay, so time already like 9 o'clock, right? For the 1 hour. So we just say if there is no more question, it's almost done the time. And we thank you for the De Zheng Kong today have time to share with all the students and the parents. 今天呢，非常感谢呢，孔德正能够来到我们这个分享，也呢就是能够花出时间呢给大家呢，就是说来回答问题。另外呢，以他一个就是说商学院的学生呢来了解呢这些，就是说更好的来给大家提供这些建议。所以我觉得呢，人呢还是要这些学生还是要亲自尝试过这些 program， 才能给大家能够提供更好的信息。然后呢，我们也非常感谢呢孔德正作为我们这一期最后一个 就是分享的嘉宾，因为我们这一个夏天一共11位嘉宾，孔德生是最后一个，也是我们的收工之作哈。所以呢，我们真的是很感谢这些学生呢，能够花出时间来给我们这些就是不管是美国、加拿大还是中国的家长和孩子们提供这个机会。然后呢，我们也感谢呢艾维教育呢，在这个过程中呢，全程的给我们进行录音，然后呢提供这个教育平台，这个 Zoom 的平台。所以呢，我们也希望呢，大家呢从中受益，也希望呢就是说我们这个栏目就是以后如果我们有相似的这些栏目呢，能够跟大家共同的去分享。那好，那我们今天呢再次感谢孔德正，然后呢也希望你呢在今后的学习和那个工作上就取得更好的成绩，好吧？我看很多人都在感谢你，所以我也希望今天就是说能够得到就是大家的认可。那好，谢谢大家，谢谢德正，谢谢艾维教育。
Okay, thanks everyone. Okay, bye.